5. Wow, that was a loud 5. 4. Supernatural 3. Supreme 2. And 1. Welcome to the Like It Podcast. If you didn't get that reference, it's because of the JESUS thing, remember? Jimmy, Joyful J. J. Everlasting E.
E.
Scientific S.
S. Universal U. U.
Super.
What does that spell?
Jesus. Man. Supreme Supernatural S. What does that spell? Jesus.
That was hype back in the day.
What are you spelling?
Jesus.
What are you spelling?
That was hype back in the day.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you guys have this one.
Oh, by the way, this is the Like It Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Asiffo, here with the lovely and talented Jeremy Asiffo.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And the also equally lovely and talented David, unpronounceable Nigerian last name. How you doing?
Hilarious. Good afternoon.
Whoa, David, I don't even know.
David's last name is Agbaire.
David, I don't even know your last name.
Killing me. I don't know. We're being taped, so I don't know. I don't even have a last name.
Yeah,
Why are we talking names? What's going on?
I just realized I didn't know it.
No,
I didn't know we were taking testimonies right now. This is what
Okay.
All right.
He doesn't want to put that out in the world.
Gang. David's here, gang. We are without our brother and the token white guy of the podcast, Stefano Hosko. Did I say his name right? Hosko. My bad. Hosko. Because
See you back soon.
Yeah. It was he was cornering gentleman for the fight that we talked about last week, and he was quite tired. Yeah,
he did like 5 fights.
Yeah, he cornered me, Karen, Roman, Freddie. So 4 fights.
4 fights. Damn.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing double duty. So, hats off.
How did the card go? Do you want to talk about it briefly?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could look at it as a rough night for the boys.
Oh man.
Yeah. Basically, the night started off well. Freddie got the W, right? So our boy Freddie got the W. Me and Fred. And then, so Karen's up next. And, I got to remember to put this over to my personal page and the Like It Podcast page as well. But Karen was up next, and Karen lost by TKO. But he wasn't, like, concussed or anything. But it's amateur, right? When you're down, they just kind of stop it as quick as they can. So Karen lost by TKO, and he did pretty well. He kept the pressure up, but, made a mistake. I'm up next, and then fight's going my way.
Yeah.
Fight was going my way. But
wait, hold on. Before you continue, Jeremy, did you watch it? Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. I was in the corner.
He was in the corner.
Okay, I would love to get his... Wait, did he corner you?
Yeah, well, Jeremy was part of the corner. He wasn't cornering me. It was actually Stefano and Corey. Stefano and Corey were cornering me. But he was there. He was there.
I have so many questions for you, Jeremy, after. But yeah, okay, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so based on what I know from what the game plan was supposed to be and what I saw, it looked like Michael was sticking to the game plan, and it looked like he was going his way. And as he was trying to take him down, he tried, but the guy, I guess, would you say you kind of underestimated his grappling a little bit?
No,
or not underestimating, but he was the grappling defense was good against
it was pretty good.
It was pretty good against yours. So it looked like
didn't expect.
But you could tell that you were going to eventually. Well,
it was a matter of time.
It was a matter of time that you were going to eventually get him to the ground. But as you started coming towards our side of the corner, I guess you kind of got like a little hot and horny there, and you kind of got
Reckless.
Yeah, reckless, and then he caught you in a rear naked choke or
guillotine.
Or a guillotine, and it was just kind of tough for you to get out of it.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I actually had the thought process in my head. Like, what happened was, look, I knew his takedown defense was pretty solid. He was look, I saw footage of him defending the takedown from an OFSA winning wrestler. You know, but MMA wrestling and wrestling are two different things. So the game plan was to grind him, right? Like, just really go up against the fence and grind him. And it went the way we wanted it to go, per se, in the sense that, like, we were successful in the grinding. We were getting him up against the fence. We were making life difficult for him. And then we got the takedown eventually, right? So I got the takedown, and I got...
Yeah, that's right.
I got full mount in, like, about 3 seconds. It was, like, pretty quick. The mistake I made was to relax him in low full mount, which allowed him to bump and get back up.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing about the way we bumped is that he was able to turn me over into my guard. So my thought process was, I need to get this takedown to win this round, because you know how judging is. You don't know the way they're going to score it. Well, they value his reversal more than my getting a full mount and my control, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, okay, I got to go get this takedown. What ended up happening was, I go get the takedown. I try to go get this takedown, and I go for a double instead of, like, my single into a high crotch that I usually like. And I knew he had, like, a guillotine setup, but because my posture wasn't broken, and because, like, I thought...
Yeah,
like,
it was... Yeah, you were in too much danger when he first got it on you, but then...
Yeah, because he had the setup, I kind of was like, okay, I don't think he's going to get me here with this one because of the way my head is. What ended up happening is he got a variation.
Why did you stay there? It looked like you could have got out of it.
Because I literally did a risk assessment in my head. Should I abandon it to let him get out?
But then he could strike you or something?
Yeah, let him get out, but then he can strike me, or do I continue and pursue this and then deal with the guillotine setup as I go? I didn't realize how solid of a BJJ game he had, because not only did he get the guillotine, he got the high elbow guillotine, right?
Yeah.
Which actually stops me from regaining my posture. So, yeah, that's what happened. He gets the high elbow guillotine. I fight it out for about 13 seconds, and then as I'm about to fall asleep, I tap. Game over. So, yeah, that's a loss for me. And then Roma goes to the card next, and my brother Roma, tough fight. He was pretty good, but, didn't go his way that night. So we went and then my boy Adam in the main event ended up losing to Dorian. So I guess in terms of friends of Michael, we went 1-5 last night, 1-4 last night, or 1-5. So yeah, that's how it went. But it's cool. Like, we do this for fun, and win, lose, or draw, we, pick ourselves back up and do it again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what to say. Commiseration to all those guys. Not necessarily for the losses, for the fact that they have to call you their teammates, but I totally understand. I feel you.
Yeah. No, it's
better luck next time. I don't know
it's
I've
all
never
good.
been in that position. The only thing I would say is just, I don't know. Treat it as a learning moment. All the cliches, pretty much.
Like, yeah, no, it's definitely a learning moment. Of course, it hurt. Like, I was gutted, but you got to understand. I think people have to understand that, like, it's especially with fighting. I think everyone, like, when it comes to other athletic sports and other athletic endeavors, they kind of have this understanding. Oh, my keys are on the table here, right? But they have this understanding, that, like, there's a clear difference between the pro basketball players and us. So when they mess up, it's in good fun, but you're not going to be like a meme for too long. Or when you are a meme, there's an understanding that you're at the highest level, right? For some reason, when it comes to comedy and fighting, everyone thinks they can do it, you know? So I think...
Totally disagree.
Yeah.
I totally disagree.
You'd be surprised how many times I have to feel like, oh, you know, I wish I learned how to be to box because I'd be a monster. Like, you know how many times I have to feel that, or like, you know, like, oh man, if I was in MMA, I'd go to UFC if I was younger. It's like, okay, relax.
That's what you're saying. People say to you.
Oh yeah, like how many times I have to feel that? For some reason, everybody thinks they can fight. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand.
You know,
but
and
I also think that's the same in pretty much every walk of life. I definitely think like in
like when you go to your community center, you always got the guy who's like, I could have been in the league.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, you know, that's fair.
I could have been in the league.
Don't act like you didn't go to guys who high school with guys who were like, you know what, I could have played in like, you know, the Premier League if I was like born in born in Europe or something, or you know, oh man, back in my day I was an amazing basketball player, or just whatever, you know. So
Yeah.
I think I hear what you're saying, especially for comedy and MMA, because they're pretty much no barriers of entry. Technically, anybody could just get up one day and decide to do it with very little training. But I don't know. I think, like, at the end of the day, the ones who are successful at it are the ones who have actually put that work in and gone through the ups and downs. So that's why I always feel like at the amateur level, like, you're pretty much just getting reps in at this point.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, of course. It's just that, like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you are putting, because of that, like, less barrier entry, you are putting your pride on the line. So if you do kind of, you know,
for sure,
like, have a lackluster performance, like one guy got head kicked in 30 seconds on the card.
I feel that.
So, you know, like, people are kind of giving him the patronizing good try, and, you know, but, like, he was kind of put to rights there, and, you know, he's kind of have to live with it. And those are the moments that are sad. So, like, when you are doing this amateur thing, you are stepping in there and not only are you putting your body on the line, you're putting your pride on the line, right? You're putting, right? And so it is kind of tough when you think about it like that. But at the same time, you know, it does better you as a person when you're going in there and being courageous. Because if you can step into a cage and put your body and pride on the line against another person, then you can also,
you're brave.
You know, if you're stepping into a line of fire, then you can, you know, kill the next work presentation, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? Or
no, for sure.
You know,
and even like the amount of preparation that goes into training for a fight. I don't think that should be underestimated in terms of analyzing a situation, analyzing the resources, devoting resources in a strategic manner to kind of solving specific problems in a situation, visualizing various scenarios. I think, like, you know, there's definitely a lot of things that could translate in combat sports and in other aspects of life.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, other than that, that's the reason why Stefano's not here, because there was an event last night, and, you know, he's tired. He's also very tired, but he should be here next week.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna put that one in my wheelhouse, in my stash box of excuses.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, like.
But I'm gonna wait till I do something like impressive though. I'm not cornering anybody soon, but I don't know. Like, oh man, I wrote a sick proposal at work the other day. Like 2 proposals at work last week. I'm just so tired. Like I just can't. My fingers. I got carpal tunnel.
I can't do it today, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Man. Speaking of carpal tunnel, Tom Brady. No.
What? What?
That's what we call a
segue,
folks.
Hard transition.
Yeah. That's what we call a segue, folks. So, you know, Jeremy, his claim to fame is actually not MMA. It's football. He's a Woodbridge football legend, a Maple football legend. And so I wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about football, because I'm actually very curious. Qu'est-ce que c'est à la Tom Brady? Jeremy. Did I get that right? Is that right? Did I get that right?
What? Yeah, David, translate. What did he just say?
Qu'est-ce que?
What is the Tom Brady?
Oh,
What
yeah.
is the Tom Brady?
What is the Tom Brady? Qu'est-ce que c'est à la free agency de Tom Brady?
Oh, my God.
Big story. Yeah, big story. And those were kind words, by the way. Thank you for that. Big story in NFL free agency. Tom Brady, for the first time really in his career, is going to be a free agent. You know, before it was, Tom Brady was easily signed up for a contract extension. But this time he gets to test the waters of free agency. And I just want to get your take on it, guys, because it's one of the biggest free agency deals that could potentially go down in a week and some change from now. Do you think Tom Brady should stay with the Patriots? Do you think he'll leave the Patriots, or do you think he'll stay with the Patriots? What's his best option here? And basically, what do you think, Mike? What do you think?
I think that he didn't look good towards the end of the year. So I don't know if that's an allegory or a microcosm for things to come in his career over the next 3-4 years. Also, keep in mind he is 41 last time I checked.
Yeah.
41?
No, 43.
Hey,
he's 43.
Hey, guys, I'm not going to let you age shame after last night.
No, he's going to what? After last night?
Because Romero.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's 43, going to be 42, going to be 43 in August.
So, okay. I don't know very many 43-year-old quarterbacks who perform at an elite level.
Except for Tom Brady.
So I don't know if it's a good idea for him to take a pay cut with the New England Patriots when he can get as much money he can from a franchise who's willing to roll the dice. I'm not calling him stupid. I'm just saying willing to roll the dice.
Why would he have to take a pay cut?
Because New England Patriots are notorious for making guys take pay cuts.
Yeah.
And
if Tom Brady wants, but I don't think it's about money for Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's married to Gisele Bündchen. They have all the money in the world.
I don't think it's money for Tom Brady. I think it's about championships, and for Tom Brady to win another championship with the New England Patriots, he would probably have to take a pay cut so that he can put some weapons around him.
And that was another thing is that, look, and they had to do what they had to do with Antonio Brown. It is what it is. But it was basically Edelman and nobody else, right?
Yeah, basically. Well, definitely. He didn't even have running backs on the team.
Yeah, so Tom Brady was kind of in an island. So that's the reason why people are willing.
Yeah, you said something like Tom Brady had a significantly worse year this year. Do you think that was how much do you think that is attributed to Tom Brady actually being worse, and how much do you think is attributed to the lack of weapons he had around him? I'm
inclined to say it was 80-20, that it was the weapons around him.
Okay.
And, look, he's 42 years old. Of course he's worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I also think that, look, Tom Brady loves his tight ends.
Yeah.
He didn't have a tight end last year.
Not one.
He didn't have a tight end last year. A legit, dependable.
Not one. Not when we say not one, we mean somebody who could fit in Bill Belichick's system and
at an NFL level.
And get him 80. No, like 80 yards a game in that.
Look, as much of a
flat route.
As much of a horrible person as Aaron Hernandez was, one of the things that made him such a famous guy in New England is that they ran that double tight system that Tom Brady really liked to run.
Yeah.
Right. So,
got to a Super Bowl with it.
They got to a Super Bowl with a double tight system with him and Gronk. So, I think he didn't have a tight end. He didn't have that long threat that he really liked. He had it for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what made Edelman so successful, because Brown would run long, and then Edelman would come in under, and then Edelman would get the checkdowns. So, and they always had that. Brandon Cooks.
You talking about this year?
Well, just throughout years, they've had that long threat. Brandon Cooks, Randy Moss, they've had it.
Yeah.
So,
and they were trying to do the same thing with Brown,
And they were trying to do it with Brown. And Brown's one of the best route runners I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he was, sane. So I think, yeah, it is. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Tom Brady just didn't have a receiving core. But I also think past Edelman. But I also think that Tom Brady is also 42, and if you're an opposing team who's looking to pick him up, you have to ask yourself, how many years are we going to get Tom Brady at an elite level?
Right.
Right. So if you're Tom Brady, would it be in your best interest to sign a 2-year, $20 million deal with New England, or would you try to get that 4-year, $50 million deal from a Jacksonville, who would definitely take that deal, or the Las Vegas Raiders?
I don't think Tom Brady has 4 years left.
No, but someone will be willing to
pay
pay him
Okay.
4 years,
Okay.
right?
Nobody's going to pay him 4 years.
I can
Not
think
when
of
he's
10
42.
teams who will pay him 4 years.
You can't take a 10 teams.
I will give you 10 teams
There's not
right
10
now.
teams
I
out
will
there.
give you 10 teams right now who will pay him 10
There's
million.
not 10 teams out there. Okay.
Detroit will pay him for 4 years.
When they have Matthew, I know Matthew Stafford isn't like. I know Matthew Stafford. I know Matthew Stafford's there's question marks around him, but they can still develop him. Like they still have a chance to develop him. He's not done yet.
He's 28. What do you mean?
He's not done yet. He's still an upper echelon quarterback, and maybe they bring in Tom Brady for like 2 years, and Matthew Stafford learns how to play under Tom Brady, and then they work with him again. Like, yeah,
they will pay him for 4 years. What are we talking about?
Okay, fine. Who else?
All right.
I don't think they will.
The Chargers will pay him for 4 years.
The Chargers. Okay, I guess
the Chargers will. The Raiders will pay him for 4 years.
Yeah.
The Broncos will pay him for 4 years.
I think the Broncos are looking at the draft. I think the Broncos are looking at the draft.
The Broncos would the Redskins. Sorry, curse my tongue. The Washingtons will pay him for 4 years. Instead of
go after Tua?
Yes. Because
what?
Because Washington is a terrible franchise.
So you would rather so if you were the Washington Redskins, you would rather take Tom Brady.
No, if I'm a sane person, of course I would take Tua and like bite the bullet for the first 2 years that he's gonna suck. But I'm thinking as the Redskins and their inept franchise who is terrible at making decisions, they would pay him for 4 years. If Tom Brady negotiated, they would pay him for 4 years.
Tom Brady's not trying to go to the Redskins because the Redskins don't have anybody. But
he would if I'm just saying if Tom Brady like teams that were willing. I'm not saying teams that Tom Brady will go to. Teams that are willing to.
This is turning into a discussion about who will pay Tom Brady 4 years. But David, what do you think? Do you think Tom Brady should leave New England, or do you think he should stay in New England?
For me, this is just one of those. Well, first of all, full disclosure, not a huge football fan, but I feel like a lot of sports, it's just one of those things where what do you value more? Do you value loyalty, or do you value winning, or do you value money,
Absolutely.
or do you value fame?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I think Tom Brady's somebody who values winning, and I think he wants, just based on the experience he had this year, he wants to go to a team that at least has something going, can make a playoff run or playoff push for the Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years. And I think right now his best options are Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are willing to pay him for 4 years, 100%.
Indianapolis. And
But if he does that, doesn't he kind of ruin his legacy? Because one thing that's transcendent in all sport is if you sign for a team as a young player and you stay loyal to that team, you're pretty much royalty when you retire. If you stay with that team the entirety of your career. So
yeah, but I think
he's going to play for Tennessee, even if he was to get another Super Bowl, like would it still have the same impact? Like we don't.
I think the only time it would.
I think.
Miami, you know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Well, no, people talk about Shaq going to Miami. They just don't talk about him going to Boston. You know, like I think if you're successful in that other team, like Shaq was on Miami, you don't necessarily get the questions. It's only when you suck for that other team. Like, no one talks about Hakeem on the Raptors. No one talks about Ewing on the Supersonics, right? No one talks about, or Orlando, where he didn't play at all. But no one talks about Montana on the Kansas City Chiefs, although Montana wasn't bad. But the point is that no one talks about him there.
I think he won a few playoff games.
He won a few, but he was not nearly the same player.
No.
Right? So no one talks about it there because, yeah, they're not the same. But if Tom Brady can go to Tennessee and scorch earth like Peyton Manning did for Denver, then it actually almost adds to it because then you can show people that you're not a system guy, right? So, I think maybe emotionally it ruins like the team that you're on's perception of you as a person, but as a player, it depends on what you can do.
I think all Tom Brady needs to do is win like a few playoff games for the team he goes to, and his legacy will remain intact. Tom Brady.
Go on.
Thanks. The New England Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, and guess how many they've won without him? 0.
None. Zilch.
The people of New England are forever indebted to Tom Brady. So I don't think his legacy changes if he goes to a different team. So, but I mean, maybe if he goes to a different team and he is terrible, then yeah, it's kind of like, okay, there'll always be that question like, okay, you couldn't do it without Belichick. But I think all he really has to do is win a few playoff games. But I think he wants to go to a team where he can win it all.
I think, in my opinion, I think this is just one of those things. And first of all, I want to say that I completely respect anybody who puts their body on the line to play professional sports, let alone one as violent and as contact heavy as football. However, man, I think this is just one of those things that is almost developed for the media. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like at the end of the day, he's probably going to stay with the Patriots because that's just the logical thing to do. They're going to shove a bunch of money for him under the table because that's how, in reality, a lot of contracts are negotiated these days. What his contract is on paper is going to be different than the money he's getting in endorsement. Sorry, it's going to pale in significance to the money he's getting from endorsements, from, behind the scenes deals, like from stocks, from options. Like money wouldn't be an issue. And I feel like he probably has the kind of relationship with the owner because for some reason, football owners are just so heavily, and just American sports in general, but I've seen this trend even creep into soccer a little bit, but just owners are just so heavily involved in the daily operation of a team. And if you think about any kind of like business, that's just like the worst thing you can do at all. But anyway,
I think you're right.
A relationship with the owner, and I actually think that he's going to stay. And I think that he's just stretching it out, almost like the Kawhi thing. But Kawhi just wanted the attention because he was going to bank out. But it's almost like the less he says anything and the more he stretches it out, the more we talk about it, the more the NFL gains relevance again, and the more the Patriots seem like a real contender for next year if they have Tom Brady on their team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think he stays with the Patriots. I don't think it's a question of money. I think it's a question of championships. And they'll find a way to put pieces around Tom Brady. They'll develop their backup quarterback, and they'll acquire some pieces, maybe even get A.J. Green. So,
well, I think one of the things about New England that we can't deny is they're a shady organization.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Deflategate, Spygate 2.0.
The one that was recently. Right?
Yeah, they got some skeletons. Robert Kraft being allegedly accused of being part of a prostitution ring. They got some skeletons, if I should say, and so they'll figure out a way, to make Tom Brady happy and figure out a way to get things around him. in the interest of winning. And yeah, so my heart, my brain would say, yeah, he's gonna go on, he's gonna stay with New England. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be kind of cool if Tom Brady said,
Did you hear?
I'm going
Did
to
you hear
Las
this
Vegas.
scenario where? Did you hear the scenario where he ends up with San Francisco and Garoppolo goes back to New England?
Oh, that if there was a God,
That would be incredible. If he goes to San Francisco, I think they're winning the Super Bowl.
I will watch every game
Every
of San Francisco 49er
plays.
football.
Yeah, and the Patriots actually to see like how
Garoppolo does. Because the story is that Belichick wanted Garoppolo, right? And Kraft wanted Brady.
Yeah.
Right? So Kraft convinced, I don't know if it was convinced or forced, Belichick to trade Garoppolo. Yeah. That's the story. But, no one really knows what happened. But yeah, okay. Anything you want to say before we move on to UFC?
I just hope that... Actually, I don't hope because I'm not really a Patriots fan, but I think it'd be pretty cool if AJ Green went to the Patriots. That's all.
Yeah, he needs somebody. Like he's just foiling around.
He might get Joe Burrow though. So.
Joe Burrow, like he's gonna suck for like. Here's the thing: he's gonna suck for like at least the first year.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Tua, same thing. They're gonna
suck. Because he sucked the first year he went to LSU.
Yeah, right. They're gonna suck. Like they need time to adjust. Right. And that's the problem. But anyway, before we go on a tangent, okay, so UFC 248 took place, and before we talk about all the good that happened, I want to talk about the main event. Guys, what the hell was that?
Oh my goodness! It was so. Oh my goodness! It was so terrible.
I appreciate chess matches, like anybody appreciates chess matches, and that was a chess match, but what the hell was that?
Oh my goodness. It was how can I put this? I'm trying to think of an analogy, but like I have no analogy, but like I was just so disappointed because I picked Yoel Romero as my fighter of the week to come in there and
be a bat of hell.
And just be a bat of hell because, like, I picked Adesanya, but the closer we got to the fight, I started to kind of lean towards Yoel just because I was like, if Yoel can actually wrestle, like, and wrestle with Adesanya and do some ground and pound, like, I thought, like, okay, this actually could go Yoel Romero's way. Like, I was actually leaning towards Yoel Romero, and then to just sit there and, like, just the onslaught of boos and just the way Yoel Romero and also I know I'll get into this a little bit later, but I don't think the onus is entirely on Yoel Romero. But it was hard to watch. Yeah,
David, let me throw to you. What the hell was that?
Okay, I actually, surprise, I'm going to be a contrarian for once. While I understand it was definitely not the most action-packed fight, in fact, if you look at the fight metrics, you'll see that there's multiple rounds where one of the fighters didn't score like above single digits in terms of significance rate, which should tell you just how little was going on. Some rounds, I think, like one round, I think in round one specifically, I think both threw like less than 30 strikes. That's ridiculous.
The significant strike count in round number one was 4 to 3. 4 to 3.
Yeah. But like even like total strikes, I think it was like 4 out of 12 or it was like ridiculous. It was super bad in terms of outcome. From a technical standpoint, it was definitely not the worst fight I've seen in a long time. It wasn't the worst fight ever. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, look, sorry, go ahead. Sorry. I
was going to say, like, we can all think of so many, no disrespect, main event from other organizations who I won't mention right now, who...
Sorry, I was coughing. What?
Yeah. And... yeah, or even just some, for example, Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. Where we think that's going to be an absolute
That broke my
slugfest.
heart. That broke my heart.
I'm pretty sure there was like 30 strikes the entire fight.
Yeah.
This had more than that, only probably because it was 5 rounds rather than 3, but it had more action than that. What I will say, though, is while I agree it didn't have the most action and therefore wasn't the most fan-friendly, I did think it was the right tactic to use if you were Adesanya, because what I hadn't taken into consideration is the fact that these are both counter fighters.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way, and as somebody who's sparred, you know this, Michael. Like, I mean, as a counter fighter, you don't want to make that first move. It's almost like that's like leading the dance. And sometimes, you know, you'll make that first move to get that person to counter you so you can counter them. And it was almost like nobody wanted to make the first move, especially in the first round. And you could see it clearly with Yoel coming in with his hands up, not moving.
How many rounds did you give to Adesanya?
Pardon?
How many rounds did you give to Adesanya?
And this is the thing with judging fights. I would say, at first I would say 4-1. I could see 3-2. But I had a 4-1.
I gave 2, 3, and 4 to Adesanya for sure. I'm not sure about how you can score round 1. And I think round 5 went to Yoel, but I'm not, you can change my mind if you really wanted to on that one.
And that's the thing with round 1. How do you score that? I'm glad you brought that up. Do you give your Romero props for landing one shot, but literally not doing anything else the entire round?
There was literally a point where he did a spin around. He didn't even throw it was obviously meant to be a roundhouse kick, but he did a roundhouse kick, was super out of range and just kind of spun around slowly. He was like,
and it's so ridiculous. Adesanya himself, once again, is a counter fighter. So in all of his fights, he's always, it's almost like the other person engages and then he kind of starts doing his little dance. And you can tell he was almost waiting for the fight to start. And
the only thing this fight was missing was just both of them saying, "Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro." Yeah, really. They were just standing there. They were just standing there.
This is the first time I've had to turn Jeremy's mic down. You're usually the calm one in the show.
Yeah. No, but they were just standing there.
Look, okay. I think a great example to go back to is Wonderboy Thompson versus Tyron Woodley 2. Right? Okay. Now, they had a classic of a first fight. A lot of people forget this because of the second fight, but they had a classic. David, I don't know if you remember this, but Wonderboy versus
Tyron Woodley?
Number one. They had a classic, right? And a lot of it was because they were both counter fighters, but one person at one exchange, one person led the dance, and another exchange, another person led the dance. And what ended up happening is they were getting countered. So for their next fight, they were like, I'm not going to do that again because it ended up being a draw, right? It's a great fight. People should go watch it. Wonderboy versus Woodley 1. So number 2 happens where they're rectifying the draw, and they both understand that they don't want to be in that situation again because if Woodley leads the dance, Wonderboy's going to hit him with some ninja stuff, and Woodley's going to be on his back and getting pieced up. But if Wonderboy leads the dance, Woodley is going to hit him with his trademark right hand that he gave Darren Till to one time and put Stephen Thompson on his back and knock him out. Especially since Wonderboy at the time was 38. Now he's 40, right? So, at the time, so he was in his mid-30s. So when you think about that, you understand why the two proceeded to have that dud of a fight, but you don't have to like it.
I understand that they're both.
Right? Hold on. Let me say my piece. Let me see because I want to make this sure this is clear. So when Yoel Romero and Adesanya are doing their thing, Yoel Romero doesn't want to be first because A, he's got a cardio issue, and B, if he leads, Adesanya's going to figure out his timing eventually, make him miss, and then piece him up. If Adesanya leads, or the theory is not it's not 100%, but the theory is if Adesanya leads, or then Adesanya will get lulled into a false sense of security, and Yoel's going to hit him with an overhand left, right? So it becomes this chess match of trying to draw out the other person without taking too much risk, right? And I understand it, but I don't have to like it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, Yoel Romero came out at the first round standing there, not even, like...
Yeah.
Just literally stood there, like, not even on flat-footed, hands up, like he was waiting to take a shot.
100%.
That's not how you fight.
I totally agree with Michael. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but at the end of the day, like, when you're the champ, when you're fighting the champ and fighting for the belt, you have to take it to the champ.
Yeah.
That's just, it's a metaphor and a cliche that exists for a reason, because it's true of fighting, but it's true of life. It's true of anything. Like, you have to take it, and you have to beat him. You can't go in there thinking that you're gonna. You have to take it to him. You can't go in there thinking that you're gonna not throw and then I might catch him. No, like, you have to bring the fight to him at the end of the day. And I feel like Yoel Romero, looking back, I would think he would want to be more aggressive, because you see by the fifth round, you could see he understood that was not the only way to fight that fight. I think if he generally just
fought how he fought the fifth.
Pardon?
If he fought how the way he fought in the fifth, I think it would have been a good fight.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to do that for 5 rounds. That's a whole different conversation. We saw what happened with Paulo Costa in terms of they both just said, forget this, and just went at it for 3 rounds, and that didn't necessarily go Romero's way. So I understand why he would want to approach it differently.
According to 2 judges, it didn't go their way, but according to most of America and the world, it did. But whatever, I digress.
Yeah, no, I thought Romero won that fight. I thought Romero won that fight. Not easily, but I thought he won that fight. Yeah, in my opinion. But anyway, I was saying, like, I feel like if he had kind of fought the way he did in the 5th round in the 1st round, then we'd be having a different conversation about, like, how he brought the fight to Adesanya, and Adesanya was running, and blah blah blah. But by the 5th round, like, Adesanya had already cinched up like 3 rounds under his belt. So why would he get into a slugfest? And you could see, like, Romero always has power, like, throughout every single round. So if he just used some of that power throughout the round, he might have gone countered, but at least he would have, he might have been a little bit more lucky. I just think, like, the tactics, I don't want to say they were wrong, but they were not the only way to fight that fight.
Yeah, like, look, I mean, I think in an alternate universe, it could have went the way of Weili Zhang versus Joanna, right? Where, they take some risks, and it doesn't necessarily go their way, but then they take some other risks, and it goes their way, and what you end up having is a classic, right? But I think that there is something to be said for Yoel Romero maybe doing a little... he's got... I think when you understand it like this, when you understand the outside things of... He is 42 right
42,
now?
42, yeah.
42. And he's already had 2 title shots to this point. Actually, 3, because Rockhold technically counts as a title shot, right? And he didn't make weight. So, fine. This would be his 4th title shot. When you understand that, you understand that this is probably his last chance, right?
Yep.
Unless he goes on some sort of, insane streak, right? Where he wins 10, 12 in a row versus the division's best, and he's like the ultimate gatekeeper.
So
this is his...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was going to say that I listened to the press conference, like the post-fight press conference with Dana White, and he's basically like, it's never going to happen again.
Okay, fine. But like Dana White also said there was women would never fight in the UFC. And
no, that's fair.
And look how that turned out. Right? But again,
like, when is he going to fight? In a couple of years? In 3 years?
Well...
When he's 48?
You know, that's my thing. Is like it's probably never going to happen, right? Like, but like my point is that unless he goes on some sort of miracle like run, right, and he wins the title at 50 or something like that, this was it. This was the like.
Agreed.
You know, this was it. And so when you understand that this is it, and you see that performance, is that not telling of someone who just lacks urgency?
Yeah.
Is that not telling of someone who lacks the will? Like, do you want this championship? Here is this championship. Here is your legacy. Here is the thing that's eluded you. Go get this thing. And you're telling me you're going to square dance in the first round? Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying?
You know what drove me crazy as well was the post-fight interview with Joe Rogan. He was acting like he didn't come into that first round without throwing a single strike. Like, he was acting
shameful.
Like Adesanya was the one who was running, and, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Adesanya was not without blame here.
Of course. Think, we'll get to him later.
He contributed to the bad performance as well. But for sure, I just think, like, when you're a challenger, like, you have to pose a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not the champion.
Like,
you might be the boogeyman in the division, but you're not the champion. You don't get to go in there and put your high guard up and not do anything.
Yeah, like I definitely don't think there's like such a thing as championship advantage. I think if like a challenger definitively win some rounds, and like you think the challenger won, it goes to the challenger. It shouldn't go to the champion just because they're the champion and it was close.
For sure.
I don't agree with that. But what I do agree with is you gotta fight. If you are the challenger, you gotta fight, right? And for Yoel, when you understand for Yoel, it's super like you gotta fight because you are 42 years old. Mm-hmm. Father Time cannot smile on you any longer. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're in the denouement of your career.
You need to go. This is it.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, it's like, come on, man.
How about this factoid, which might have played a factor, if you pardon my pun there. Yoel Romero recently just won a case against USADA for his tainted supplements. Not against USADA.
Against the supplement company for $27 million. Yeah,
he tested positive for USADA, for steroids, I should say. But in reality, it was more of tainted supplements.
The only tainted supplement, I believe, by the way.
Yeah, and he became like a millionaire. He won millions of dollars off that. So do you feel like that might have affected his motivation, perhaps, coming into this? Or just in general? Because also he's missed he made weight for this fight, but he missed weight the last two title fights as well, which were pretty much the last two fights he's had, other than
Well, the one where he came in .2 overweight, that wasn't his fault. What happened with that one, and it's one of the more heartbreaking stories I've ever heard, is that he goes in for his first attempt and he misses weight, right? And so there's a rule where you are given, no matter what time it is on the clock that you went to go make weight, you are given 2 hours to make the weight, right? So Yoel and Mike Brown and the rest of Top Team are, in the shower. They're taking the Epsom salt bath and they're about to make the weight. And the story, and they're told they got to make the weight right now at 11 because that's usually what it is. You got to make the weight at 11, right? Now, the story that I hear is that the person who was on hand to make the weight needed to go somewhere. They did not want to stay past 11 o'clock. Whatever they had to do, they need to go. And so Yoel goes down there, not given enough time. Well, enough time in it, according to the team. So it was a story of miscommunication and flat out laziness that screwed him over. For that one, the 0.2. The Luke Rockhold thing, I think, was just straight up unprofessionalism. But that one is one of the few times where my position on making weight is an exception. Because you're told one thing as a person who literally was told all camp long, hey, you can throw side kicks to the body. And then day of, hey, by the way, you can't throw side kicks to the body. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right? As a person who's been told that, I get it. You know, it's not necessarily your fault. But that leads into my bigger point is I think it's symptomatic of Yoel just runs into bad luck with life inexplicably, right? And I think because of that,
Life.
like the tainted supplement thing, right? It's like a guy who looks like that being caught for steroids. No one's gonna believe him now, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's tainted supplements. The 0.2 issue where he goes in 0.2 pounds underweight and then proceeds to make weight every time else. You know, things like beating Paulo Costa according to most of fight fans' metric of who should win a fight, but then two judges decide you lost against Paulo Costa in number one contendership match, right? Beating Yoel. Does anyone think he lost against Robert Whittaker the second time? Anyone in the room?
No.
Okay, so, you know, I think Yoel Romero, inexplicably, I don't know if he stepped on a crack when he was young or whatever, but for some reason he inexplicably runs into bad luck, and it might be beating him down. Might.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so I think when he came out to this one, he didn't want to take a risk because he didn't want to run into that bad luck. I can see that. But maybe I'm being maybe that's conjecture, and maybe I'm being circumstantial, you know? And I admit that. But that's my microcosm.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from. That's definitely an interesting perspective. But at the end of the day, the only person who really knows is Yoel Romero. What I will say is, once again, I watched his post-fight presser, and he seemed furious. First of all, he made a racist joke about Africans running, which just made no sense. I would seriously recommend you go look it up.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's some of the best 20 minutes of interview I've seen in a long time. Like, the last week has been great for UFC interviews because it was just hilarious. With his interpreter, hilarious, man. It's so funny. But yeah, no, he was saying basically Israel was running the entire time, and he didn't seem down about it necessarily. He just seemed more angry that he didn't get the opportunity to show off his skills, as he put it. But I feel like there's plenty of opportunities where he shot for so many takedowns. More takedowns than I remember him shooting in a lot of his other fights, if you think about it. More takedowns than I think most people have shot on Israel, now that I think about it. And he got like one or two kind of, but Israel just popped back up. So on the one hand, I hear you in terms of he didn't want to take too many risks, but on the other hand, like I feel like he did take risks when he felt it was comfortable or when he felt like he wanted to press the issue.
When it suited him.
Exactly. I just think he's one of those fight styles where he's a counter fighter at the end of the day. Like he waits for you to do something. One thing that just made no sense, he spent so much time doing, what are those things called? It was almost not like a pistol spot. It was pretty much like a lunge, like a deep lunge, where he would like bounce on his feet, up on his toes, and then he would just like drop down and kind of look like a takedown. So I get why he's doing it, but if you spend less time doing that and more time actually shooting for takedowns, but I don't know, easier for me to say in a what you call it, when I'm just sitting here as opposed to in the cage.
Playing armchair quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know, look, I'm final thoughts on the fight because I'm done. Like I'm done. Because I do want to say though, actually, you know what? Before I kind of throw it off, Israel Adesanya is not absolved of blame either. I just think that I just think that like if I had
could have done more.
Well, but the thing about Israel is that like he was at least feinting and faking and moving around to try to shell him out.
Yeah, but you didn't want to see like a front kick to the face or the body.
Look, there was a couple times he tried to kick him in the face. Yoel's kept in his shell. There was he pieced up the leg, right? Like it's not like he wasn't doing things. It's just that Israel's style is very similar to Anderson Silva's style. And look, another fight to go back into the analog, Patrick Cote versus Anderson Silva, right? Where Patrick Cote said, no, I'm not going to lead this fight. You are going to lead, and I'm going to follow, right? And Anderson struggled, right? And the fight was a boring fight. So, like, when you run into guys who are almost mythological in their counter fighting abilities. This is the way you have to fight them. And so Israel's got to figure that out. How is he gonna, basically, win fights when guys are saying, "Hey, you now have to lead." Right?
Essentially. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that separates John Jones from Israel Adesanya at the moment. Well, at least the old John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Because old John Jones, and I don't want to make this comparison. I'm just saying that I agree with you that it's one thing to be dominating dudes who are kind of running straight at you, a la Robert Whittaker,
or at least playing into your element.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, not like running straight at you in terms of like technique-wise, in terms of they're the lead in the dance, as you put it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing when guys are comfortable to just be in there in the ring with you. They're grateful for the chance because, let's be honest, Romero, in all truthfulness, should have been, please don't beat me up, y'all, should have been grateful for this opportunity because he was coming off 2 losses, as we keep saying. And he's 42 again, as we keep saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be dudes who are just grateful, kind of like no disrespect once again. You know what? No, let me not say any names. But dudes who are just grateful to be in the ring and are comfortable with waiting for you to make a mistake. And their whole game plan is for you to make a mistake while putting it on them so that they can catch you. So Israel's going to have to figure out a game plan for them for moments like that. And I feel like that's what John Jones is so good at. It's that if you want to be the aggressor, he's got a game plan for you. If you want to take it to the floor, he's got a game plan for you. If you want to kind of wait and you think like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sit and counter you, like no, he's not going to let you do that. He's going to put it on you in so many different ways that you're not even going to understand. You're not even going to have time to develop a counter. So, well, unless your name is Dominic Reyes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But even then, that was a different kind of fight. Like, I think like that was like a Dominic Reyes fight is kind of the fight Israel wanted, but that's not what happened at all. Like, it was more of a, I struggle to think of a comp right now. I think a Tyron Woodley, Stephen Thompson one is a good comparison.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are my final thoughts. I thought like Israel, should definitely.
He should figure out a way to fight in those circumstances. That's all I'm saying. Right.
Yeah, I think I was shocked that Romero was so timid, but I do agree that I think Israel Adesanya had a good went in with a good technique, and he chewed up that left leg or that right leg of Gil Romero. But I just wanted to see like more leg kicks. And you know what the consensus is? Yeah, like you would have been taking a risk, but I think with the reach and everything, I think he could have afford to take that risk because even when he got touched, he was still able to bounce back. Grappling defense was good, so I think I want to see more front leg kicks to the face and just more strikes and him taking a little bit more of an offensive because if Yoel Romero was going to carry himself like that, I think he still would have won.
All right.
I'll tell you one more final thought.
Mm-hmm.
What I did learn from this fight, one positive, is Yoel Romero's defense is very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah. No, that's something that like I've been telling people is that like one of the things that Yoel does have is a sneaky good defense. So I think that would have given him, like I was telling people all week that like I think that's the one thing that you can hang your hat on is he's got sneaky good striking defense. But anyway, I mentioned earlier in the conversation that in an alternate universe this could have been Weili Zhang versus Joanna because in the co-main event these girls put on a show.
Absolutely.
Joanna's forehead.
Sorry, I had one more thought. I can't believe I didn't say this. Oh, man, we're going to have to edit that in a way that makes sense. What did you think about the referee jumping in?
Dan Murgliata?
Yeah, and I'm mad that Stefano's not here to answer this because I thought that was criminal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you know Stefano doesn't like Dan Murgliata. Yeah, that's foul. As a ref, look. I'm all for like telling guys to push the action. Like Herb Dean did it one time to Derek Lewis versus. I'm all for a ref going like, hey, come in. But I didn't like his wording of the language of give the judges something to score.
Like, come on, man.
I also didn't like him coaching them on to press the action. I think that actually affected Yoel Romero in a way because
I think it affected Adesanya.
Yeah, I think it affected them both. I just think it didn't favor Yoel because, like, Yoel was pretty. Like, it seemed like Yoel's game plan was like starting to work in the sense that he was frustrating Adesanya, and Yoel had to push all of a sudden, and Yoel opened up. Then when Yoel opened up, leg kick, right? When he opened up, question mark kick. Like there was these things that were just happening that it just didn't help Yoel, and I think a lot of it did have to do with Dan. At least some of it had to do with Dan giving him,
Yeah, sorry to mess up the thing. I thought it was nuts.
Yeah, we'll edit it in post. We can't really edit it in post for video, but who cares? But in audio, we sure can. Just gotta remember the time of that, like an hour.
Weili Zhang,
yeah. I mentioned off the top that in the alternate universe it could have been Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk or Jedrzejczyk, because these girls put on a show. They put on a show. Joanna's forehead after the fight, the memes that came out. I was making.
She was like unrecognizable.
Yeah, I turned to the group that we were watching at a restaurant, and I turned to the group, and said, "If I'm the doctor, I really consider stopping this fight."
Because of what was it again?
Because of the hematoma that was on her forehead.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how you can allow her to go back out for the fifth.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's no
come on.
zinc.
No, I know. Because that's what won Weili the fight, right? Like, but my point is that I'm trying to make is these girls left it all on the line. They took the risks, right? And went out there and had, it wasn't just like a brawl. It was the
Super technical.
Oh my, the tightness of the straights by both girls. Like, I don't think I said Weili had the best 1-2 in the game. When she threw that 1-2, it was like Joanna was getting hit with a cannonball. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. And Joanna's in and out movement and her jab. Joanna's jab. My God. Like, it is one of the fastest jabs in the UFC, period. Not women's, period. And then when Joanna in the third round decided to go southpaw.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, I did see that. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say she was good at it. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say, and not to tie into the other match, which we just talked about, the Adesanya one, who Adesanya is really good at switching his stances as well, but everybody knows this. He's super fluid with it. Mm-hmm. Joanna less so. It was a little more obvious when she switched, but still, like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. She yeah, I mean, I can't really, she doesn't hit with all of her power. You could definitely, I think that's one thing that stood out to me. You could definitely see that Weili Zhang just hit
she ate like groceries.
20% harder. Like, you could just tell. Like, she just hit a little bit harder, despite being quite significantly smaller than Joanna, which I don't think a lot of people realize, which wasn't super apparent, but it made sense in the way the fight played out, because it was almost like the opposite of the main event, in that Joanna, who is a counter striker, was fighting another counter striker, Weili Zhang. Mm-hmm. Weili Zhang being the champion, so Joanna brought it to Weili Zhang. She was, for the most part, the one trying to initiate stuff, and Weili Zhang would have a counter, and Joanna would counter her counter. If anything, if Israel wanted the blueprints of how to do a fan-friendly fight, although I guess he wouldn't want the results of what happened to Joanna's forehead, but it would be watching Joanna's challenge, or the way that Joanna fought Weili Zhang, because Weili Zhang, I don't want to say female Yoel Romero, but it was very similar in that she was, I don't want to say very tight.
I think that's an ill-advised comparison, just because, at least in the context of women's MMA, she looked so much more technical.
No, she was very technical. Don't get me wrong. Although I think people sleep on what you call your Romero's technique.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
She was very technical in her striking, but in terms of her explosiveness.
Oh yeah. She's definitely the most explosive 115. At least, I mean, it's 1 and 2 between her and Jessica Andrade. You know what I'm saying? But
no, she's more explosive than
you think so? Okay, I can hear that. I can hear
has
that.
A good right, but Weili Zhang looks like she can explode from anywhere.
Yeah, no, I can hear that. I can hear that.
She just, at any point, she could put you out.
Yeah. No, I can hear that. I can hear that. But
yeah, so it's not in terms of her wrestling is the same. No, I meant in thank you for even catching me on that. In terms of the explosiveness of her strikes, I think she was very similar. And in many ways had a similar game plan to Romero in that she was waiting. I mean, she was bouncing a lot, but she was waiting to.
She wanted to go inside,
yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right, but sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, because I was going to say.
No, that's what I was going to say. That she was just hitting so much harder, but I think at the same time you could see that Joanna was a much more seasoned striker. You could see she was just that extra level more technical. Not to say that Weili Zhang didn't hold her own, but I feel like the variety of strikes, especially deep into the third, getting into the fourth round, you could see Weili Zhang was having a little bit of difficulty, almost thinking of new ways to inflict harm, while Joanna was still switching it up, especially in that fourth round. So I don't know. Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say is this is one of those fights where I just didn't even bother trying to score it because I was just too busy. Anybody who knows me knows I fall asleep during most sporting events. And I was falling asleep. Even it was just after the Beneil Dariush fight.
Oh, where Jakar Close got disappointed me, where I gave him the okay.
Great knockout. Yeah, I know I'm going over the place, but great knockout. So I was falling asleep, and halfway into the first round, I was alert. I was like, whoa, I cannot. This is one of those fights you just can't miss. It was so good.
Dude, I remember I was beside a friend and I was clutching his leg because of some of the punches that were landing.
Because he thought it was going to be the haymaker that put him to sleep.
There we go.
No, Jeremy just said he thought it was going to be the haymaker that puts him to sleep. But yeah, okay. All right. But you may have a good point. You didn't even bother judging. Guys, I'm going to just say it right now. I think Joanna won that fight.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Me too. I definitely think Joanna won it. Looking back, I think she won it. Especially that fifth round. I think she won it too.
So Jeremy disagrees. Jeremy, let me ask you a question. What 3 rounds? Because that's what it is. It's round by round, 10-point must system, based on effective striking, grappling, octagon control, unified rules of MMA. Based on those rules, what 3 rounds do you give to Weili Zhang?
I think Weili Zhang had octagon control, basically.
That's not what I asked you. What 3 rounds do you give to Weili Zhang?
I was about to tell you. I think she had octagon control in almost all the rounds.
Okay, but based on effective striking is number 1. Effective grappling is number 1B. Aggression and octagon control is 2. Based on that criteria, what 3 rounds do you give to Joanna? Do you give to Weili Zhang?
I'd have to go back and watch it, but I definitely give the 4th and the 5th round to her. I definitely, I'd have to go back and watch it. I'd give the 4th and the 5th round to her because those ones were decisively Zhang. Go ahead.
I I don't know why I keep interrupting.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I'm just so excited about this fight.
And I think those two were decisively Zhang, and then the other three were, well, no, not the first round. The first round was Joanna, but rounds 2 and 3 were a toss-up, so that's why I go with Zhang, because she had octagon. Well, I don't know if she had octagon control during the entire fight, but she definitely had it more than Joanna. And Weili Zhang almost took her down on several occasions, while all Joanna was doing was striking, but Zhang was striking just as effectively as Weili Zhang. And Weili Zhang, I think, had more in her tool belt that she didn't use or wasn't able to see through, but I think she had more control over the fight.
One point that you kind of brought up, Joanna's takedown defense. Like, yeah, I knew it was good. I didn't realize how good. You know what I'm saying?
It was pretty good.
To have that hematoma on your head to the point where it's covering your eyes, you know what I'm saying? Imagine that. A forehead bump is covering your eyes. And she can still defend a takedown from one of the best submission artists in the and that's what Weili Zhang is in the UFC. But look,
I also wanted to say something, actually, and I take back what I said in agreeing with you. I actually disagree, and I actually think that Joanna didn't win that fight, but neither did Weili Zhang. I feel like, in general, and I think this should apply for more fights, there should be more draws in MMA. That was as good a case for draw as I've ever seen, because for me, and call me blind, rounds 1 till about 3, there was no clear winner. There was no clear winner for me. Like, there was just too much back and forth that I think, like, this is one where they should have just drawn a line under it and said, let her keep the belts, we'll run this one back. Because I generally think, like, both of them put such a good account, like, scoring this, like, how, like, the only way, like, scoring would make sense is, like, what do you value in a fight?
look,
What do you value more? Because I agree
but they
with Jeremy.
tell you what they
Weili Zhang-
value. They value effective striking, right? Effective grappling, aggression, and octagon control. They tell you. And
Okay, well,
Joanna landed more. Joanna was more effective in terms of efficiency. Joanna, in terms of grappling,
not in terms of damage. She wasn't more effective in terms of damage.
well, what's damage? Is damage because you landed one punch on the forehead in the third round? Like what?
It's because
And the same
one
round,
is
the same
harder,
round
what-
that someone had to carry you to their stool. Like what are we talking about here? Because yeah, Joanna has a hematoma on her forehead.
You act like she couldn't get to that stool by herself. She
They
could have got.
lifted her.
She
Jeremy,
could have got
they
to
lifted
by.
her from the stool.
She could have
What does
got
that
there
mean?
by herself.
If I'm a judge, what does that mean? Is that
not
not
only
damage?
Could she have gotten
She-
there by
she
herself? Literally, the next round she came out and fought. So I mean,
Yeah, she
Like, what
came
are we
out on
talking about
fire, but still, like, I'm not saying,
Like-
I'm not. What's damage because of one punch to the forehead that Joanna, by the way,
no.
like,
Come on, man.
or
Like, you're
or
being
is it?
unfair. Like, you're being unfair.
Okay.
Joanna got lit up in that fight. Like, she got beat up.
Of course she got
They
lit
both
up, but
got
like,
beat
okay, I was about to say, of course she got lit, but my point is, so did Weili, right? Like, to the point where her corner man, I didn't see him do that in the rounds 2 and 3. I didn't see him do that in rounds 4. Why? Because she was lit up. She took damage. So my whole thing is that what's damage? Now, all of a sudden, is damage because you landed one punch that made somebody bruise, or is damage being lifted to your corner between rounds 3 and 4?
He didn't have to lift her to a corner.
Okay, so why didn't he do it for why didn't he do it for the next rounds?
I don't know. But,
Okay, so what are we
how's
talking
but
about
why
here?
why are you so I don't get why.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't get why you're so fixated on that. Like that. Like I really don't. Like,
Yeah, no, that's like, I totally agree with Jeremy. That's no, man. Like, just
So
because
why
you
we
got
why we fixated on her
Not
forehead?
damage.
Because it's all over 6 buzz? Like what are we talking about here?
okay.
Wait, but when you're the one who's fixated on the forehead,
I'm not fixated on the forehead. Okay, so what's your definition of damage then?
Simply put, Weili Zhang was landing the harder shots in the pocket. Simply put, Joanna was
Absolutely.
doing really well with the volume. So in terms of efficiency, statistically, yes. she was striking more efficiently. But in terms of who was landing the harder, more impactful shots throughout the entire fight, it was, apart from maybe round 4, which was pretty much dominant for Joanna, in my opinion. Apart from round 4, like it was pretty much even to me. Like, and so no, in terms of the impactful shot, it was Weili Zhang, and then in terms of the striking in general, it was pretty much even. I would give Joanna maybe
anytime Joanna threw something, Weili Zhang came back with something just as hard.
Guys, what three rounds did you? Okay, fine. Then we go back to the $1 million question. What 3 rounds do you give to Weili?
Okay.
God.
I don't give her 3 rounds, but you're gonna give Joanna 3 rounds.
I give her
what 3 rounds do you give to Joanna?
1, 2, 3, and 4. What? Joanna won rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4.
She didn't win round 4. You even said
no. Joanna won round 4.
I'm leaving.
Which one was the round where? Which was the round where Weili Zhang came out
like a bat out of hell? Fourth round, and she still lost. What's your point? Like what?
No,
what
she
are we
didn't
talking
lose
about?
that round.
Oh my lord, guys!
Yeah, wait. Which one is? There was a round where Joanna switched stances.
Third round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's the round I'm referring to, not round 4 then. Man, I need to rewatch the fight.
Man.
And we're arguing about the fight, but it's good, though. This is good.
I think we're going to put this in the clip as the podcast on the Instagram. But look, guys, I just don't know how you can score Weili Zhang 3 rounds, because that's what they did. That is what they did. So I disagree. That's what we're doing. I could see it. I could see that it being a draw, and I could see Weili Zhang winning that fight. I can see Joanna winning that fight. I think it was too close to call. I could see, for example, and just to use your logic, in terms of efficient striking, let's even give that to Joanna. I would say she just shades that, especially in the later rounds. I think, as I said, her technique kind of shone through. But I think that when it comes to grappling, there was only one person leading the grappling, as Jeremy said. Only one person was going for takedowns, and that was Weili Zhang. So Weili Zhang takes that, and then octagon control, for the most part, it was that even with Weili kind of taking it for the most part. So
I felt like when they were on the inside, like that was kind of even, but it kind of tilted toward more towards Zhang. When they were on the outside the black line, I felt like that was Joanna. But when they were up against the cage, that was all Zhang. That was all Zhang.
When Joanna got the Muay Thai clinch up against the fence and kneed her into oblivion, you're telling me.
But Zhang turned her. Zhang would turn her.
Like 8 exchanges, Michael. Come on.
Zhang would turn.
You're acting like she didn't Weili Zhang didn't trip Joanna 3 times.
At any time.
Joanna got straight up. What are we talking about? So you're telling me a knee to the face is less effective than a trip where someone gets right back up?
Body? Oh my God.
Are you?
But anytime Joanna had her against the cage, Zhang turned her back around and gave it back to her.
Okay, but how many times
against the cage? That was Zhang.
How many times that happened?
Plenty.
Oh my God. Okay, what 3 rounds are you going to give to? What? No, because
what 3 rounds? No, but but you can ask me.
My question.
You can ask me, and I'll give it back to you.
Right.
What 3 rounds would you decisively give to?
1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said,
you can say the same thing about Zhang. You can say she
round 1 to Joanna.
No, not.
Oh my lord.
You could say you could give round 5.
Fine. So Joanna doesn't win round 1. That's 1 and 5 that I give to Zhang. Fine. I'm gonna give. They scored 47-48, gentlemen. What's the other round?
I gotta watch it again, but I'm telling you.
So you're saying that because the judges scored it one way, that we have to score it the same way?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But my point is that you have to score in order to score for Weili Zhang. In order to score for Weili Zhang, Weili either has to win a 10-8, which we all agree that didn't happen. She didn't win no 10-8 out here, or she has to win.
Was no 10-8.
Okay, right. In that case, that would be a draw. She would have to win either 2 10-8s, or she would have to win 3 rounds. What 3 rounds are you giving to Weili?
Look, I thought it was a draw, and she keeps her belt because it was a draw. That's my point, or that's my stance, and I'll stick to it. I thought the first couple of rounds were toss-ups. Like, I really don't see how there was a clear winner. I thought the most dominant round, I said 4, I meant 3, was round 3 for Joanna. Round 4, maybe a little bit, but round 5, Weili was back in it, you know? And which round was the one where she got the hematoma? Was round 3, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but she was dominating that round for the most part.
Yes, sir. Where she got lifted to the corner.
So, like, I mean, for me, I just think it was a draw. They should play it. They should do it again. That's where I'm at.
All right, we're going.
I think Weili won. I think I'm starting to lean towards because of damage, and I'd have to go back to see which 3 rounds she won, because probably even one more than that. But I gotta see which round she won, because I was kind of watching it kind of as a sum, and I just thought as a sub, more damage, more control, attempted more things, and was more successful in different aspects of the fight. So that's why I gave it to Zhang. I
gave it to Joanna. I just thought Joanna outstruck her for 4 of the 5 rounds. But it does go to show that MMA judging is hard. We bag on the judges because they suck, and they do. Don't get it twisted. But it is hard. Am I right, gentlemen?
No, for sure. It's super hard, and it just goes to show we all watch that fight and have completely different perspectives. Neither of us, and none of us are biased for either of the fighters.
Yeah, we don't have a horse in the race.
I
think Joanna's actually a despicable person, for the record. But
all right then.
Yeah. But like, you know, I still think she won the fight. You know.
One thing I will say though is that I had no idea Weili Zhang, number 1, could take a shot. Could take a shot like that, because she was eating
them.
Shots.
Groceries.
Just the best shots. A lot of girls would not be able to take those shots. Number 2, you could tell that Joanna, as I said, had fought at a higher level in terms of striking. It was just a higher level of striking. So shouts out to Weili Zhang for even going in there and thinking, I'm going to strike with this girl, and I'm just going to bite down on my mouthpiece, especially in those championship rounds. Like, she really...
Yeah, that's another thing, though. Like, as much as I'm saying Weili didn't win the fight, the heart that she showed...
Yeah, man.
To be... Like, that scene of her being carried by her coach in the third, like, yeah, I'm fixated on it. Okay, fine. But, like, it does show, like, you know, she got pieced up.
Heart of champion.
And then she comes out into 4th. Like nobody's business. And that first 2 minutes, man, she really gave Joanna something to think about. So, man, you know, like, it's a tale of two fights, really, and a tale of 2 cards with Joanna and Weili versus Israel and Yoel, right? You know, so, you know, it's interesting. All right, let's move on, because I think we're going to kill each other, like, especially me and Jeremy. So, do you want to talk about your fighter week for this card first, or is there any other things, lines, you know, things you want to talk about? Like, for example, do we want to talk about what's next for the 2 main event, the co-main and the main event in terms of the fighters? Do we, you know, or do we want to just go straight to fighter of the week?
I mean, I know you got a visa word, so we can definitely make it snappy. Yeah. I just think Adesanya is definitely going to fight Costa next. Mm-hmm. They're already angling for that fight. Costa had to be escorted away from the arena because he was just going nuts. Romero is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting who he matches up with.
I heard him versus Cannonier, because the situation with Till is...
torn a pectoral muscle.
Who?
He tore a pectoral muscle, and that's why they were going to fight Till versus Gorilla versus Gorilla, Till versus Cannonier. But because he tore his muscle, they had to, or I heard something like that, they had to postpone that. But apparently in the post-fight presser, Dana White said that Dublin is when that fight's going to happen. So, but I would like to see like Cannonier or Darren Till versus Romero, because both of them make sense.
Yeah,
I think really jacked.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Besides, Till looks huge at middleweight. Like, why not? Why not? But yeah, I think Israel versus Adesanya is the only fight that makes sense at that for Adesanya. For Joanna and Weili, what are we talking about, fellas? Like,
Run it back.
Run it back. Run it back. Why not?
I don't want to see, like, don't get me wrong, I like Rose.
Thug Rose.
I think she's a little overhyped, in my
opinion.
I like
Rose.
Although I did like her season on Ultimate Fighter, but that's a conversation for another day.
It's because she's a looker.
Anyway,
let's put it out there. She's a looker.
I like who else is in that? Is that it? Rose, Weili Zhang,
Jessica Andrade.
No,
you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that.
No.
I mean, no. She's a former champ. Like, why not?
I'm gonna quickly pull up the rankings right now. How about you, Michael? What do you think is next for these?
I think
main and main, co-main.
I think,
and Jeremy as well, of course.
I think for the main, I'm with you. Like, that's kind of clear cut. Like, for the co-main, that's where it kind of gets confusing. Like, do you do? Like, it's confusing in the sense that, like, one, do you run it back or do you do Rose versus Weili? Because I think that's the only thing that makes sense. Or winner of Weili versus. But I don't want to see Jessica Andrade versus Weili Zhang again. Like, that's the thing.
I don't want to see that.
Because I think Rose is facing Jessica again, right?
Tatiana Suarez is also in that division.
I mean, she's not
but
ready.
She's hurt, apparently.
But she's also not ready. Like, I think Tatiana Suarez should face, like, Michelle Watterson or something, you know? And then winner of that gets a crack at the top four. It's just so interesting. And the other thing is, Joanna's beat all these girls except for Rose and Weili. So it's like, why would you, in God's name, have Joanna versus Jessica Andrade again? Right?
I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, either. Like, why do you want to see... I mean, I can definitely see Tatiana Suarez versus Joanna, but, like... does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're burning one of your stars.
Right? So, you're basically putting them out to slaughter. It's like, hey, you're one of our best stars. You got, like, a 4-fight win streak. Here's one of the greatest female fighters of all time. Go. Like, you know...
No. Even if Suarez wins, you're burning you on. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lose. Like, it's a lose either way.
Oh, yeah. Although, I think it's going to be a great fight. I think that would be a great fight, though. I really do. But, if you're trying to make money, that's not the way to go about it. Like, it's just such a lot. It's such a weird, confusing mess, right? It's like, I'm almost like, can Valentina make 115? Like, that's the point. I feel like I should get to that point. Like, it's like, Valentina, can you make 115? Like,
While we're on the women's division, I do want to give a shout out to Felicia Spencer, who got her title shot against Amanda Nunes.
Oh, that's another one I like.
Yeah, shout out to her.
I love Canada, but Canada, but come on, that's another one where it's like,
who deserves it? I mean, who else is in the division?
I mean,
Megan Anderson.
I know.
She beat Megan Anderson too.
I know, but like they did this. I remember how upset I got when it's like she beat. Was it Megan Anderson she beat? And then they were like, "Here's Cyborg for you." Like,
yes, it was actually.
Oh, and I'm like, no, that's not what you do to a rising star. Like, what are we doing?
Fed her to the lions.
Yeah, feed her to the lions. So now they're feeding her to the literal lioness. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop doing this. Bring in Tanya Evinger. Bring in somebody. Have her fight. Build her up. Let her work on her jiu-jitsu and her striking. Wow. And no, I'm just saying, like, let her keep working at it. Right? So then she gets more experience and goes face it. You have to keep in mind, Felicia's got 11 fights? Like, if that? So
I think she's actually got a pretty good chance. I just think she does not want to be on the feet for very long. We'll just leave it there.
I don't think people understand how much I want Felicia Spencer to be successful. I just think this is not the blueprint for her to be successful. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It's not.
Giving her to the
you're feeding her to the wolves
to the person
again.
who's at the top of the division.
Yeah, you're feeding her to the wolves again.
I don't know. I think and going back to the original question, we all know that Adesanya versus Paul Costa will happen, and that's the one that makes the most sense. But the one that makes the most sense for the co-main event would probably be a rematch. But like I kind of look at it from a perspective of how do you build the strawweight division up, and like I don't know like who's, because it's kind of in a place where who is the best contender, like not even to build Joanna up, but like who could Joanna face, not even to build Joanna up, but just to build the division up. But you said something.
Nina Ansaroff.
Yeah.
But
I
but
like
you
that
kind
a
of said
lot.
something though, like even though she's not your champion though, like you are kind of burning out Joanna because she does deserve that shot against Weili Zhang.
I don't think there's more than 3 or 4 women in that division who can beat Joanna. So as long as you keep her away from those women, I think you should be fine with whoever you pair her up with. In terms of securing a bag for her, keeping her motivated. Should one of the other 3 drop out of a title shot, then you have her still available to pretty much put up a great fight for her. But I do think you don't want to put her against Rose again because that's just not a good matchup.
But you know what? I think that's what motivates Joanna. I think that's what gets Joanna going, right? Because it's like that's the avenging of the loss that put you down the spiral, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I think that's what motivates her. You know, trilogy fights are the best kind of fights but I think
He's coming off 0-2. Trilogies are the best kind of fights.
it's when it's 1-1. I know.
When 1-1, which is, for example, the Deontay Wilder fight, it's making no sense why they're doing a trilogy. Now that
it's not that it's not making no sense. It's that it's not making no sense immediately, right after. Because, like, let's say you build Deontay Wilder back up, like, with 1 or 2 like tune-up fights, get him to work on his boxing. Then it makes sense to go after Tyson Fury again. But like with Joanna, it's like
she's good enough to beat Rose. It's just for whatever reason she didn't. So it's like, okay, you know, do you do it in the sense of like, okay, she finally overcomes the demons?
But she lost 2 though.
Yeah, I know, but like, do you do it in the sense that like, okay, she finally overcomes the demons, and then like you have an even better story where she faces Weili again? Because again, listen, guys.
So you're saying we should take her word for it that she was in toxic relationships and stuff like that?
I don't know, but look, Joanna is one of the,
too much. You know what? Can I just speak on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because when she was winning, she was taking this guy everywhere, and not to say like the relationship wasn't toxic. I just think at the end of the day, all we can judge is what we see. You know what I mean? And even though a lot does go into a fight, we can only judge what we see. So when we make a comment about a person's performance, it really is just that. At the end of the day, came in to the octagon, the ring, the field, the pitch, whatever, and you didn't perform. And I feel like too much, like we have excuses just already built in. If she'd won, then that excuse wouldn't even matter. Even like, not a main card fight, but Mark O'Madsen, he had an excuse already. He had a staph infection already. So, like, if he had lost, it's because he had a staph infection. But he won and was like, yeah, I did this with a staph infection. You know what I mean? Like, like this is sports. Like, everybody is going through some stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't want to downplay, the effects of an abusive relationship. But at the end of the day, I think it was just not it can't be an excuse to why you're not performing at your professional athletic endeavor. You know
no, I know. Like, it's just, it definitely is a thing, though. Like, it's a thing but it's not something that I think
disproportionately affects women. So I just want to put that out there as well. So I understand how privileged it is of me to say that, but
well, I also think that I just think that not fighters are not equal all the time, right? Like, it's like you got a nagging back injury, now all of a sudden you're a little worse. You got your girls messing with you, you're a little worse. Like, oh, you got a good day at training yesterday, now you're a little better. Like, if fighters are not always equal all the time, they're fluctuating, right? So maybe, but like I do think that when you come off as what's the word I'm looking for? You come off as you're not gracious to the other person, right? When you do that, when you say, hey, it wasn't because of them, it was because, oh, I had a bad relationship, or it wasn't because of them, oh, I had a staph infection. Kevin Lee's one of the greatest examples. Kevin Lee did not mention his staph infection against Tony Ferguson one time. Not one time, right?
Or even when he won, he had a staph infection against Gregor Gillespie as well.
And everyone could see it. It was right there for everyone to see.
It was so obvious. I'm pretty sure Adesanya had a staph infection.
On his arm too. So, you know what I'm saying? You know, they didn't mention the staph infection, right? So, but I don't want to speak on it too much because we gotta go. But these are the things that make Joanna especially for me, it's make you want to roll your eyes at her. She didn't do it.
Did you see the way she came out too?
Yeah, But you know what? Then again, she changed my mind. There's fights like this, and the fights like Karolina Kowalkiewicz, where you're say what you want, but she can fight.
You can't help but give it up.
Yeah.
When you see greatness, you just can't help but give it up.
And the Michelle Watterson fight, you're she can fight, man.
Yeah.
She can fight.
Okay, really quickly, because we're running out of time, name me 5 women's MMA Hall of Famers.
Rousey, Tate, Holm, Joanna, Amanda Nunes.
Okay. Valentina Shevchenko is going to be mad. But
I know. I was about to say her name, but I was like, how can I in good faith take out, she's number 6, in terms of Hall of Fame.
Wow. Even though Shevchenko beat her twice. She beat Joanna twice. Okay.
Well, once in MMA, twice in Muay Thai. I just think that the run that Joanna was on, I don't think people really appreciate. The run she was on when she was champion was the stuff of legend. You know what I'm saying?
So good.
She was, and the activity too. She was fighting all the time.
Yeah, she was so good, man.
Yeah,
so she feels so good. She might even be better. That's the weird thing.
Yeah,
it's just that I love it. The division's caught up. Weili Zhang is just, man, so much heart. I'm never going to look at a tiny Asian lady ever the same again.
You better watch yourself. Man, they're crazy.
No, think about it. In 40 years, she's gonna be telling her grandkids or something I
was the champ.
Yeah, how do you explain that kind of war to your grandkids? Crazy.
She's this small, tiny 5'4" woman, and she's like, yeah, I used to be the champ. I was beating up all the women, and it's
beating them all.
Yeah, I think that's a good list, though.
All right. Any other fights that stood out for you on the card?
Sugar Sean, that was gonna be my athlete of the week too.
Put it on him.
Yeah, he looks strong. Physically, he just bullied him. Right, it was an offering. It was a mercy kill.
He's been off, right?
Yeah, he was off for 2 years due to PED suspensions and issues. USADA actually admitted it was hey, we're just getting a tainted supplement here, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But you know what? You see that fight, and you see how filled out Sean did look, and you're maybe they're onto something with the PEDs. No, I'm kidding. But he looked strong. He still looked like himself, where he's bouncing in and out, and he's got that excellent movement. But Jose Quinones just looked like he was in he looked like in a different league than Jose Quinones. You know what I'm saying? He looked good. And I think anybody other than a ranked opponent for Sean at this point is a travesty. I mean it. Is a travesty to his abilities.
All right, I'm going to quickly look at the bantamweight rankings and see where you want to put him. Rob Font.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good fight. I think that's a good fight. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Let me not say that because Rob Font's not that tall. Jimmy Rivera. Oof.
That's a toughie.
Rafael Santiago.
That's a
Pedro
toughie.
Munoz,
That's
Corey
a toughie.
Sandhagen, Aljamain Sterling.
You know what?
Jose
You know what?
Aldo.
I think he beats Corey Sandhagen.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll reserve for another episode.
All right.
We'll wait till that fight happens.
Yeah, but look, I think anyone other than a ranked opponent for Sean after that fight, is a travesty. Like, I think that's the next guy for him. And if he loses, fine. But I think that's the one. Like, I would love to see him versus Song Yadong. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Right? So, yeah, that's the fight that stood out to me.
Okay. Jeremy, have you got anyone
let's see. That one definitely stood out to me. Take a look.
Man, Jeremy's coming prepared now. He brings in notes. He's like, like
while he's going through his notes.
Are you implying that I didn't come and prepare before?
No, I'm just saying, like,
No,
like,
I didn't.
No, notes is good. Notes is good. I take notes. Full disclosure. I'll toss this one to you, Michael. Darren Wen loses
again.
Round 3. Gerald Meerschaft with Sats. 5'6" guy fighting 185 after missing weight in his last fight too, which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But I'm not a professional fighter, so what do I know?
Yeah. Look, I think it's time for him to cut down to 170 or 155.
Yeah. 155 sounds realistic. Still undersized, but realistic.
The whole thing is that, like, the thing for him is that, like, the undersized guy as a wrestler does help him, and he's definitely got immense strength and talent. It's just the problem with him is that when it comes to the striking, he used to do this thing where he'd do that overhand cross, and guys are getting wise to it, right? So they're just jabbing, keeping it tight, and then staying on the outside. And it's just making life very difficult for him. And so he's overextending himself, And then sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I actually thought his striking for the first couple of rounds looked okay. If that went the distance, I honestly thought, like, he would have won that fight. But still, man, like, towards the third round, he just got way too open and paid the price.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's getting frustrated with the lack of, like, he's finding it hard to close the distance. And I'm not saying at welterweight it'll be any, like, it won't be a struggle there either. But I think that, like, 5'6" against 5'10" is not that bad. Whereas this guy was, like, what, 6'1"?
Yeah, he was 6'1".
Yeah, so, I mean, like, against Michel Pereira, maybe he might have some trouble. But, against, like...
Adesanya, 6'4"?
Yeah, like,
come on, man. Like,
yeah.
That's almost like a foot.
So...
Would they even sanction that?
Yeah, they would definitely sanction it. Come on. Deron Wins a championship wrestler. Like, they'll do it.
Oh, man, that's a sad day. Shout out him, though.
Yeah.
Shout out him, though. Sorry, Jeremy. Do you have any...
No, I think just from watching the highlights and I mean, I watched a little bit of, like, the first round, but from what I heard from Dana White, Neil Magny versus Jing Liang, like, I know that he was the underdog in that, but looked good and kept his composure and came up with the decision. But
people sleep on Neil Magny, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, so, like,
you shouldn't.
I watched that fight and I watched, like, how he came out. So I think I liked how that one was. It was entertaining. So I guess that one stood out to me. But I think the one fight that like was the best fight other than the main event, and obviously the main event didn't live up to the hype, but, like, the biggest fight that stood out was probably the Sean O'Malley fight.
Yeah,
for sure, that was definitely the biggest fight.
I think that was probably the best one, but also the Neil Magny fight also was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put it on him. Neil Magny put it on Li Jiangling. Goodness sake. He just looked overmatched. Also, shout out to Alex Oliveira. How many Oliveras are there? Just a quick one for Michael. How many Oliveras are there? We have Lee versus Oliveira next week. Like, I'm running out. I thought, like,
is that Cowboy Oliveira?
I don't know. He had a cowboy hat on, but apparently not. There's just too many.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's like the Brazilian Smith,
I think so. I generally think it's like the Brazilian Smith, or like Costa or Sanchez or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I also thought shout out Mark Madsen. Well, I don't know why they were calling him Mark O. Madsen. That was kind of weird yesterday, but he really put it on. Like, just wrestled the heck out of Austin Howard yesterday. And then nobody really watched this one, but the second fight of the night, Giga Chikadze was talking mad smack, and they put him against this guy, Josh Emmers, who was making his UFC debut, and Emmers actually won that fight. They put it on him, and he was way better. He was way better. The other dude was like a karate champion, kickboxing champion, a glory kickboxer, the whole 9 yards. And Josh Emmers went out there, had like not even a wrestling fight, a kickboxing fight, and pretty much beat him up for 2 out of the 3 rounds.
Wow.
But for some reason lost that fight. So, shout out to him.
Yeah. Well,
And then Dariush versus Close.
That was
hilarious.
Dude.
Because he was about to win that fight. Drakkar Close was losing the fight, pretty much, because he lost the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And the second round, he
rocked Dariush, and then got opened up too much, and then Dariush came back with some overhand rights, and that was all she wrote.
And you know what's funny? I blame his coaches, because his coaches were the one who were like, okay, you got to stop playing around, man. You need to go out and actually put it on him. Like, let's go. They were G'ing him up in between round 1 and 2, only for him to get knocked out in round 2.
Well, in fairness, he had Dariush.
Don't put your hands up.
Yeah, he had Dariush stunned, and then, Dariush, did his thing.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of crazy, kind of back and forth of MMA. Look, we talked about inches. It's a game of inches. Literally, I learned that lesson that day of how much inches can screw everything up,
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy what it can do. All right. So is that our fight? Are we gonna do fighter of the week, or was that technically it?
We could do fighter of the week if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do fighter of the week. If I had to pick a fighter, I'll just go first because why not? I will pick whose performance did I like the most. I mean, obviously the co-main event was the best performance, but excluding them and Sugar Sean, because that's just way too obvious. I'm gonna go with Josh Emmers because I really thought he won that fight. He really, really won that fight. And
I think Dana will give him another shot. I think
he's gonna get another shot because he fought really well and deserves to win. Mm-hmm. So shouts on him.
Yeah. Jeremy,
my fighter of the week would be I kind of like Darren Bush, so I kind of like him. I was gonna go with Neil O'Malley, but I think I'm gonna go with that.
Who?
Darren Bush.
Darren Bush?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go with the obvious Sugar Sean O'Malley because no one else picked him, and that was the guy.
Not Darren Bush, Dariush.
Beneil Dariush?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were saying. I was just gonna let you go with it.
I was like, why would you pick Darren Wen? What did he do?
No, he's Dariush.
Yeah.
Dariush fought a good fight.
Yeah.
Fought a good fight. And I know that Stefano was pretty high on him last week.
Yeah, he really loves his BJJ guys. The guys who come from the BJJ background. But yeah, I just think Sugar Sean really impressed me. Really impressed me. So, that's my fight of the week.
Last couple of tidbits on this card is that Dana White said that Sugar Sean's going to be fighting really soon, so that's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be reaching out to them to kind of try to do a quick turnaround, so we should expect to see him on a main card soon and on the headliner soon if he keeps winning. I would say in the next 2 or 3 fights, he should be a headliner. Because you're right, he was one of the most popular fighters out there last night from what I saw. And, you know what? That's it. I would just... the next fight for Adesanya, as you said, is Costa. They already have a date for that, July 11th.
They're thinking July 11th. They just got...
Which is crazy.
Well, they got to make sure that homeboy Costa is healthy. If he's healthy, they're going to do it July 11th. If not, then they'll push it back somewhere. But they want...
It's only 4 months.
Well, 4 months. Why not? You know what I like about Israel Adesanya that no one really gives him credit for is he's super active. He's right to the next one, man.
No games, no nothing.
Yeah. Like, he's not chilling. He's he's the anti-Conor McGregor. Although Conor McGregor was kind of active in his heyday. And then, yeah. But, it is what it is with that one. Let's see. Okay. Do we want to quickly talk about this Lee versus Oliveira card?
No, we can leave that we can just react to that one. We don't have to preview. The only thing I would say is that not only is Lee Oliveira fight kind of interesting, you also have Damian Maia coming off his W against Gilbert Burns. You got Canadian Ronda Markos fighting Angela Ribas. And then Johnny Walker also is doing his light heavyweight fight against Nikita Krylov. And you'll have another Canadian as well, John McDessie.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly say that it's going to go to Lee just because he has more tested victories, more not legitimate, but more.
Yeah, he's been around the top of the division.
More
and
better
he's
victories,
focused.
so I'll just go with Lee.
Look, I think the sky's the limit for Lee if he's with if he's with Faraz Zahabi. I'm really high on Faraz Zahabi.
No one just came.
Oh, you're gonna get. You got David started.
You know what just kind of clicked for me is why there's so many Canadians is because he's with Faraz Zahabi. He's obviously just bringing a bunch of his teammates with him. To Brazil, so that makes sense.
Oh, okay, makes sense. All right. I was gonna talk about how Pascal Siakam sucks, but why?
Man.
But
I know we had a question that you wanted to get into.
Oh yeah. So we did our Ask Question segment, and this is hilarious. So one of the Matador guys who was actually at the event, Professor Frank, he wrote in and asked, "Where do babies come from?" So guys, where do babies come from?
Wow. How old is this guy?
I think 40s.
Oh,
40s?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Real mature. No, the best answer I heard when I was a kid was when God feels two people are ready, he gives them a baby. Now, I don't know how well that held up when I got older and started learning that people could have babies out of wedlock and stuff. And I don't know if that logic holds up, but if you want the quick answer to give to a child, I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with.
You know what? It's crazy. Okay, so I remember watching... What episode was it? Okay, whatever. There was a filler episode of... I can't remember the anime, but basically it was about monsters. And they go and the boy in the anime goes, Grandpa, where does babies come from? And the mom goes, the monsters, honey. They bring the monsters bring the baby to us to mess with our lives.
That's like the stork kind of.
Yeah.
But it's not a monster though. But
yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty funny.
Why would a monster bring a baby?
No, it was a filler episode. They were just messing around. I thought it was hilarious because it was oh yeah.
This is some great content. This is some great content right now.
David, where do babies come from, man?
I personally was raised in the church, so I don't really have much to say. I have no idea, actually. I think I remember a Bible passage that said something about on the first day God created lights and land or something like that, and on the third day it was man or something like that.
Oh yeah, we can tell you were raised in church. On the first day, God created light, man. Wasn't it light?
No.
On the first day, God said, "Let there be light."
On the first day, God created. No, they're two different creations. So one of the weird things about the Bible, by the way, is there's two different creation stories.
We're really delving into, leaning into that Christian podcast.
So there's two different creation stories, right? So there is one where it's on the.
I shouldn't have said that so confidently.
Yeah, so there is one where it's God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and that's the 7-day story. But there is another one where it's in the beginning, God created heaven and earth.
Oh yeah,
and they're separated by the chapter. So there's one story and there's another story in the same chapter. And so people always mess that up. So yeah, it was light, but you're a little off.
Are you trying to say that there are different versions of the Bible?
No.
That's black.
No. There's two different stories inside the same Bible.
Oh.
And depending on what Bible you get, it's either cut out with either or yeah.
Or combined.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting. My religious Bible, when you get the Torah, for example, they have like more books in the Old Testament. Yeah.
The Torah is the Jewish.
Yeah,
but the Torah is the Jewish one, right?
Yeah, the Torah is the Old Testament. And then the Catholic...
But Jewish people only believe in the Old Testament,
okay,
right?
We're going super off the rails. Yes,
do.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But
no, but you said that's the Torah. You said something like the Torah... That's the Torah's New Testament. Isn't the Torah only the New Testament?
No, the Torah is only the Old Testament.
Or the Old Testament?
Yeah. And then the Catholic Bible actually has more verses, more chapters in it than the Protestant Bible.
Does the Torah say where babies come from?
I believe so, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, does the Bible?
Yes. Seeds.
What does it say? Like, it says, like...
Seeds. It's seeds.
It says, what's the actual passage? Like, babies come from seeds?
No, well, paraphrasing, yes, but like it's guys, what are we doing? We're 5 minutes in.
I just want to know.
I was like, at what point do I intervene?
I just want to know. I just want to know what the
You guys can do this on the car ride home. Right?
Okay.
We don't gotta record.
We don't do this. All right, let me do my thing, okay, guys?
All right.
In this crazy mixed up world we live in, where life is just not going your way, and you're going to be late for your thing that you had to do half an hour ago because everyone wants to talk about where babies come from. Just remember one thing. Well, you have three things: life, liberty, and seeing me get high elbow guillotine in the first round. Later, everybody.
Every time you say that send off, I feel like you're saying the theme song to Living Single. In this crazy kind of world, I'm glad I got
Later, everybody.
Peace.
All right, peace out, guys.
Peace.